Welcome to this week's workshop Wednesday, where we're going to talk about measuring your user journey with A.C.T. Welcome, my name is Julie Brody. I am the Director of Measurement for MeasurementMarketing.io, Data Driven You, and Measure Summit. I've been building actionable dashboards for a really long time and eventually started teaching measurement marketing to people just like you. And we still deal with a lot of our different clients and teach a lot of different people. So that means there's a lot of different things that our team has seen. So if you have questions, we'd love to hear them. Reach out to us. We always love a good puzzle to solve. And I mention that because it's really relevant for this particular training because it's all about building actionable dashboards. And we'll get to that here in just a moment. As we go through this training, as we do with everything, we encourage you to do the one thing. Get one thing, one golden nugget, one gem, and that way you can take it and apply it today and then come back and get something else a different time. So that way it's not so overwhelming. So let's go ahead and get started. Measure your user journey with A.C.T. As we start, we always want to start with our measurement marketing framework, where we all start out marketing in the blind, where it's all this chaos, don't know what's working, what is working, we need to figure that out, and we want to be able to reliably grow those revenue profits. We want to know what button to push, what lever to pull, what thing to do, what action to take that is really freaking obvious so we can grow. In order to do that, there's a strategy behind this. It's so freaking simple. All you have to do is plan, build, and launch. And in your plan, you have to understand what questions you have, the information you need to answer those questions, and then the actions you need to take based off of the results of that information. Then in your build, you go through results, traffic, and story, understanding the results and then tying it to traffic and then building and understanding the story. That's what we're going to hit really heavy in this particular training so we can continue on in our framework where we can listen, forecast, and optimize. That exactly what we want to be able to do so we can reliably grow those revenue and profits. So let's continue on, and we're going to take this little first piece, that middle piece where you see results, traffic, and story. We're kind of going from right to left. We're flipping it, and now we're going to go left to right. And each one of these, as we call them keys technically, is they have their own little secret sauce. And for results, that is the A.C.T. And we do have another training out there that talks about just the strategy. So I'm going to go through this next little piece of the strategy a little bit quickly so we can get into the build of the implementation piece as well as the reporting piece where you're wanting to understand how do you actually use this inside of Google Analytics as well as Looker Studio or anywhere else that you want to use it. So let's go ahead and move forward. So A.C.T. stands for Ask, Consider, and Transact. And to put that into a user journey perspective, an ask is how many users did you ask to look at your offer? And so there's so many different ways you can have offer. An offer could be a blog post. An offer could be an actual product. An offer could be an actual offer page. And so just don't get caught up on the word offer. It is just how many people did you ask to look at the thing that you're trying to get them to do? How many people started your journey is another way of saying it. Then how many users considered the offer? How many users kind of took that middle step in between? Or how many people did something that showed you they were engaging with the user journey? So that's what we're calling considered. And then how many users transacted? How many users finished the offer? So how many? So we take ACT as with the A for ask is how many users start. And then the C is how many users continued on or they considered. And transact would be how many users finish, how many users transacted. So even if it is a lead magnet and they sign up, that lead part would be transact. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, what that would look like in, say, our favorite whiteboarding tool of Lucidchart. So again, we do have another workshop that breaks down that whole strategy a lot slower and more clear, but I wanted to get into the build part for this particular training. So that's why we're going through that piece a little faster so we have plenty of time for the actual building stuff. All right, so here is our Lucid chart, and so we have our first page, which is the offer, and then we have a second page, which is a thank you page. This is just a lead magnet, a free offer, just a simple form, and I'm actually going to show it to you on the page. Here we go. And so this is what it is. It is just a toolbox page, and is a form, and that is it. It is just a simple lead magnet page. So our ask is those that see this page. It is usually pretty easy to figure out your transact because it is whatever that indicates the signal that you would want if to say that they finished. And so again, for leads and purchases and that type of thing, that's a pretty easy one to figure out. For a blog, it could be they got to the like 90% of the blog, or they got to a certain point in the blog, or if you're trying to use ACT for measuring blog and content, or transact could also be if they watch the end of the video, or if you're doing certain trainings and you have a membership site. So there's lots and lots of different ways to use ask, consider, and transact. So we've already mapped these two out here, but where would consider go? So remember, ask is them starting the journey. Transact is them finishing the journey for this particular thing. And then, transact would be the one finishing. Said that one wrong. And then consider is the one where there's going to be somewhere in between. And something that is going to tie back to your question. So remember, think back to that framework we saw. There's that first piece in the plan where what questions are you going to have? A lot of times your questions, when it comes to these different type of lead magnets and stuff, especially things you might be running cold traffic to, could be, are they even sticking around? Are they even hanging around on the page for just a moment to engage with the page? Or are they bouncing right away? So a consider could be another step in between. Let's just grab this little guy right here and say 10 seconds on page. And that's a very common thing to want for a consider if it's just a two-step journey, or if it's a longer page, maybe it's 30 seconds or whatever it is, but that is a very useful thing to do. So once we have this mapped out, we can go build it. But before we go build, I want to point out something that let's say this is a long form sales letter. Let's just pretend it's a long form sales letter or a blog or something that has lots of different things on there. You can have more than one consider step. So maybe the first one is 10 seconds on the page to just know, are they paying attention? Maybe another consider step is, press play or watched 50% of video or scrolled 50%. So there's lots of different things that you can do, and you can have more than one consider. And just to kind of help you see where perhaps the user is not continuing on in their journey. And remember, all of these things that you're putting in here as part of your build is something that is tying back to the questions that you have so you can take action. We're not just putting up a bunch of fluff and kind of filling in our reports and putting up a bunch of garbage, or what we like to call data dumping. We are not data dumping. So we're going to go ahead and continue on in our build. And in order to do that, we are going to open up Google Tag Manager. Now you can technically do this without Google Tag Manager, and we do kind of show you how to do custom events and stuff like that inside of our courses, but for the sake of this training, because I think it's so much easier to do it this way, we're going to focus on the easy way. So in the Google Tag Manager, we already have these built out, but so we're going to walk through what we did. We have, and I'm actually going to start it from scratch, and then we'll do the cooking show method of like, oh, and here's it is finished. So we're going to choose our little tag, and we're going to choose analytics, and we're going to choose the GA4 event. And then we can choose our measurement ID. Let's see if we have one in here already. This is our teaching account, so we have lots of different, there's GA4 measurement ID, so we are good to go there. If you don't have that, then just copy and paste it from your stream ID and you'll be good to go. And then this is where the only little thing you got to know. So this, in just a pro tip for you, you probably want to do something like journey name underscore ask. So that way, alphabetically, all of the journey name is together instead of doing it in this way. All of your ask will be together and not the journey, which in our opinion is a lot more complicated to try to go through and find. So this is just a pro tip, what we've seen. So you would have journey ask, and then as you level up, you can add parameters, and in fact, we encourage you to once you are ready. But we have a phrase, good enough to get going. So good enough to get going, then come back and make it better. So your good enough to get going is to completely ignore that section. Don't worry about it. Wait for you to have plenty of results. And then when you have bigger questions, and you need to be able to have the information so you can take action, going back to that framework, you're going to want to go ahead and do this. But again, it might be a year from now, might be 2 years, might be 5 years. Don't worry about it. So for now, we're just going to focus on this, and then we would just go set whenever our trigger is. For this one, it says, hey, this is the toolbox page. And then we would just rename it to be GA4, and then we would call this, in this case, instead of journey ask, it would be toolbox ask, but I'm not going to do that because we already have it. So this is where the part of the cooking show where we remove that and be like, oh, we already have one baked. And so here we go. Here is the baked toolbox. And so we have our ask. Again, we have we have event name, and then we have the what it is or when it is that we're firing. So we have the what and we have the when. Then we go into our consider. And we have this one, which is our toolbox consider. Again, journey name underscore the whatever A, C, or T that we're doing. And then we can see our trigger, which is 10 seconds, and the toolbox page. So meaning it's only 10 seconds on that particular page. And if you see, this is a trigger group, and we're saying both of these have to happen. It's not either or. So then popping back out, we go to toolbox transact. Same thing. We have our journey and then the A, C, or T. In this case, it's transact. And this case, because we have been changing and updating the user journey, there is different pages sometimes, and they've been kind of testing. So we have two different triggers that are happening here, 2 different times, and you can see right below, about an inch below my mouse, it says or. So it's not an and, it's or. This page or this page, and that's when those fire. So we are telling Google Analytics 4, this is what we want to happen. So let's go ahead inside of Google Analytics and take a look at what that might look like inside of our events. So we're in our admin, we're going to events, and just so you know, we used to have our ACT, A.C.T, we used to have it called ACE, A-C-E, but with us, joining forces with other different companies, and they also had an ACE, and we were using ACT, A-C-T somewhere else. We decided to switch ours. So that's why sometimes you'll see aware, complete, and engage. But I love the A.C.T method a whole lot more. So I can actually switch it to the last 7 days and see if we can get something a little bit more easier to see. And so here we can see our toolbox ask, and this is exactly the way it's coming through, a toolbox consider and toolbox transact. That's the way they're coming through. And this is the totals, and we can see all that, and then we can see even here, we can flip this over to mark as a key event as well, which is super useful. And then what we can do with them inside of our reports, which is the really useful thing that we want to be able to do, is we want to go into our reports, and in this case, let's go ahead and go to our business objectives, generate lead, and go to the traffic acquisition report. What in the world is all that? So let's not be comparing anything. There we go. Okay, someone else might be teaching, so I might have accidentally messed somebody else up, but we're good. We got rid of that comparison. So here we go. Let's go ahead and actually, I don't have to address that. All right, we got rid of that comparison. So let's go ahead and take a look at our different events. And so in this case, we can see our different events that we have in here. So toolbox ask for the state range, and we can see what's going on here. And then what about our consider? And then same thing going on with our toolbox transact. So this is the one where we really want to know what's going on with toolbox transact based off of our different traffic sources so we can compare. A lot of times it's easier to go through and switch it to source medium so you can really get an idea of who is going through. And it looks like our YouTube audience seems to be doing quite well. And we can see session key event rate, which is basically kind of conversion rate based off of sessions, so sessions and these event counts here. And I just want to show you something. Even though we did just make this a key event just a matter of moments ago, it's not showing anything yet, but I imagine in a day or so it will start showing up. So if you're expecting it to be there, it might not, maybe it will. So just kind of be aware of that. And so you can go through and compare, which is super nice. You can do that, and you can easily see what's going on with this main one or any of the other ones. But what if you want to very easily see how the user journey is performing, like how they're going from ask to consider to transact? It's really hard to kind of see that here. And then you want to be able to compare traffic sources. Well, there is a way to be able to do that as well. And we've gone ahead and built this out. This is another time where I'm showing you the finished product, bringing the cake out of the oven in the cooking show, and then I'm going to actually show you how to make it. And so here, I want to come back to our other screen to show you how we got here. We went to our explorations, and you're going to create a new exploration, and you're going to go ahead and choose a funnel exploration. Okay? Then what you're going to do is choose your step, and this is where you get to choose all of your different steps. Now I'm going to go back to actually, I want to go ahead and show you this part right here just because it's going to be easier for you. So this is where we go to ask, and I say I want toolbox ask, and I can add a step, and then I can say consider. I want toolbox consider, and then I want the next one is transact. I want a toolbox transact. And by the way, if you do not have these custom events, that's what these are. Each one of these is a custom event because it's not something Google is looking for, knows what it is. It's a custom event. If you don't have a custom event, you can do all of this that I'm about to show you with URLs. But you don't get this middle thing that's so amazing to do with Google Tag Manager with like a time on the page where it's 10 seconds or something like that. So you can still get, like in this case, because of the way we have it set up, the way we planned it and built it, is this is a page, this is a page. So you can still get that if you don't have your custom events. And we do have other trainings out there on how to show you for that, but this is all about ACT. So we're going to be measuring it with this. And so this is, we're going to call this toolbox underscore ask, and then we're going to name the next one, and then consider. And by the way, as soon as you get used to this, it'll take you a matter of minutes to build this for a user journey, which is just awesome to be able to kind of go through. All right, now we're going to go ahead and press apply. And so again, here's our date range of what this is looking at. And here's our different steps. And now we have our finished cake. Again, we have our finished cake we can go through and see. Now you're probably saying, but I want to be able to compare different traffic. So what you do is come over here to your dimensions and go ahead and add those in. So we go through and we have, well, let's not add an extra S on that. Session, source, medium, and campaign. And let's say you also want to know device categories. So we're going to go ahead and add that one in as well. We choose import. And now they're over here listed as our dimensions, and we can choose to break it down by our different traffic sources. So now, and it's only showing the top 5, so you can always expand that to show more. But now we can see exactly which particular traffic sources are converting better than others. So coming down here to the transact, which is the one, again, who finished the journey, we can see overall traffic, and then of the completion rate. So I'm going to back this out and kind of show these things, and I'm going to zoom in so we can walk through this together. So this first number right here is the users that of the overall traffic that got to this step. So in this case, it is the step 1 completion rate. Those two are the same. And then, however, when we get to step 2 to step 3, this number is the overall completion rate. So if you're thinking of an opt-in, a user journey opt-in, this is the conversion rate of that two-step funnel. In this case, we're giving it 3 because we want to know what's happening in between. And here is the step that's going in between. So if you had an offer page, a cart, and a purchase, this would be your cart completion rate, and this would be your cart abandonment rate, which is really, really useful to have as well. So all of your numbers that you need are right here. However, one thing that Google does not give us an easy way to see is the conversion rates of like your forecasted conversion rates to be able to compare to, because the old adage is true. If you don't know where you're aiming, you're not going to know exactly where to go. Or in this case, you don't know what is good and what is not. So the way that we like to teach to do this, it's like a little hack, is we like to show you can add in forecast, and it could be, in this case, because it's 10 seconds, maybe we want 80 to 90%. We expect 80 to 90% of the users to stay there. And maybe we're going to put this in parentheses, so that way it's kind of not quite super obvious. And then we're going to do that down here. And so for the overall, for this step, maybe it is from people that stay on the page for that long, maybe it is 40 to 60, which is kind of a big range, but we're just going to go with it for now. And there we go. And we're going to go ahead and say apply. And so now we have these numbers in here. And what I wanted to be able to do is so that we can see very easily if we're not doing the thing that we are supposed to be doing. And then the next thing that you can do that Google added for us that is kind of newish, that it makes this so much better to be able to use. It makes this so much more useful, because anyone that is using an exploration coming in here, this is the one we just built. This is only available to this particular user, meaning anyone else who has access to this property cannot see this amazing, beautiful user journey. Maybe you want your team members to use it, or maybe you want your team members to build it for you to use it. That's not possible. You can, let me go back out. You can technically show and share right here. You can, but it's only going to be read only, meaning all the super amazing things that we're doing, like this breakdown and all these other things, you can't do, which is unfortunate. So what you can do is this little dude right here. It says save as a report in the library. So let's go ahead and do that. And what we're going to call this is Toolbox A.C.T example journey. And I'm going to get rid of that. Let's make sure we're spelling things right. There we go. We're going to save. And so now I can say view in library. That little thing goes away pretty quick, so go ahead and click on it. But if you miss it, you just go to reports, and then you go down to this thing called library down here. And now we can see Toolbox A.C.T example journey right here. And you can see that's missing some things that some other ones have, and that is a collection. Because these things that you see over here, that's a collection, this is a collection, and that's a collection. All those things are collections, and I'm going to actually just have to zoom right back out to show you. What you can do is actually publish and unpublish these. So I'm going to go ahead and unpublish that one. And I can unpublish that one as well. And I can even delete these things if we don't need them. And I'm doing that intentionally because I'm about to actually do another presentation for another audience, and I needed those to be cleared out and unpublished so I can go through the example of showing those as well. So what we have going on here is now we have our life cycle, and that one we could see is publish, and we have acquisition, all those other things right there. That's how they work. So if we want our toolbox act example to go inside of one of these, we can just go through and edit there. However, I think it's really, really useful to create your own collection. So let's say you're an agency, or let's just say you're a certain department or whatever it is. So that way you can make it all of your reports. So that way it is one place for you to go to have all of your different reports. And if you're wondering, well, can everybody else who's in the property see your reports? And the answer is yes. So remember, explorations, nobody can see what you're working on, no one can interact with it. But if you go ahead and use it in the reports and add it to the library, they can. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So we go to here, we're going to click on blank because we don't want to use a template at this time. And we're going to call this collection is our workshop Wednesday collection. That's what we're doing right now. And in this case, we could create a topic name. And so this is going to be toolbox is what we're going to call this. And we're going to say apply. And now it's telling us drop whatever reports. And so we can use all of these other reports that they give us access to. But in this case, we just want this guy right here. And obviously we teach all these different things lots of different times over the years. And we're going to go ahead and press save. And so let's go back. And why is it not there? Well, let's see what's going on. Let's zoom out again so we kind of see what's going on. And let's zoom out a little bit more. It would be nice if they gave us a horizontal scrolling. There we go. So what we can see is this Workshop Wednesday one that we just did is not published. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that publish button. Let's zoom back in to make this more useful for everybody. And now we can see here we have our Workshop Wednesday collection. And then we have our toolbox because we can do different products. So maybe there's one for toolbox, one for academy, one for whatever, all the different products there. Or we could do Facebook traffic, Google Ads traffic. We could organize this in so many different ways. And so now we're going to choose toolbox. And what we can do is we can see inside here, we can see that we can go ahead and choose our different traffic sources, and we could see them by each one of these. We can't see the conversion rate for those like we can in the other report, but we can if we wanted to say what's going on with this test traffic and just show the test, and then we can go through and see this. And by the way, look at that forecast, makes it super easy to see. Oh, yep, we're where we're supposed to be. And then same thing with this one. Oh, yep, we're where we're supposed to be. Because if we, let's say we were not in there, let's say this number was 22. If you were like, okay, where do we need to optimize? Be like, oh, well, they're staying on the page for 10 seconds, but they're not continuing on. It's not the headline copy or the expectation of what they're supposed to see. It's something else. However, what if this number was 60? That is where I would then say, okay, there's something going on. They're expecting to see something and they're seeing something different. What we call the expectation engine. Something is off in that first little bit. That's why those 10 seconds in the very beginning are so helpful to kind of identify if there's an issue in the page. You can get so lost and you kind of go down the rabbit hole of optimizing things that you think you should be doing. But having ACT, your ask, consider, and transact really helps you narrow down exactly what it is you need to do. Especially if it's a longer page, a big, meatier page with more behaviors to measure, you can have multiple considers. So there you go. And that is what you can do inside of Google Analytics. I want to show you one more thing. It's going to be kind of a quick overview, but just so you know how freaking simple this is, I wanted to show it to you. So, most of you know that I absolutely love all things dashboarding reporting, and one of those is Looker Studio. And so I just want to show you how you can use this inside of Looker Studio as well, which is another free tool, design tool that you can use. And so I have just connected into our Google Analytics, and all we're going to do is come down here and choose add a filter. And in this case, I'm going to choose event name because that's what it is. Because remember, going back to, I like to make these connections for you. So if you come back to our tag manager, here, that event name. So that's why we're saying go get the event name. And so we're going to say, it contains, and we're going to say toolbox underscore ask. And there we go. And then I'm just going to name this filter this. And then what I'm going to do is hit this little guy right here and change it to that piece there. And then guess what? I'm going to copy and paste this. And then I'm going to get rid of that filter. And I'm going to create another filter. Event name contains, and again, this is so fast, consider. And there you go. Da, 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 da. And we're going to change your name, and we could keep going. So you can see how fast it is to go ahead and build this user journey. And if you want to know conversion rates, just select the two of them and right click and choose something called blend data. And there you go. And obviously there's all kind of different things you can do for formatting and all the other stuff. And we have plenty of other courses and tools out there to guide you through that. But I just wanted to show you how simple it is that you can do this. And you can go add it to any of these other charts if you want to see it, like comparing your different traffic sources, or if you want to do anything with any one of these different charts, you can add the same filter so you can really get a useful truth so you can take action and answer those questions that you're trying to answer. And just a quick note, in case you didn't already know, we do have quite a few free tools back there in the thing that you just saw us talk about, the toolbox, and things that could definitely help you. If you want to know more about ACT and how it can apply to different scenarios, like a actual user journey of like a regular sales funnel, or maybe e-commerce, or maybe content marketing, you can go into your toolbox and then scroll down and you can see your ACT results here. Now, maybe you want to know more about that framework that you heard about, or into the strategy. You have a book here for that, as well as all kind of other planning tools, setup guides, all kind of different things for free right back here. And you also do have access with the toolbox. You only get one course for free, and that is our measurement marketing framework. This course would light up for you for free. Now, obviously, if you are a full member, you have access to all kinds of other courses and all kinds of other amazing things, including Ask an Instructor, where you can hit me up or any one of our other amazing instructors, and they can answer your questions directly one-on-one. Or you can also go into what we absolutely love and we call our winner circle, where you can join the community there and ask questions to all kind of other members and like-minded people. So it's not just us that are expert back there, but it's all kind of other people. So make sure you take advantage of all of that, whether if you're a free Toolbox member or an actual member and just forgot about those things because there's so much back here. So what was your one thing? I know this was a little bit longer than most of our normal workshops, but I really wanted to give you a start to finish of the ACT, Ask, Consider, and Transact. So there's a little bit of the strategy, a build, as well as how the heck do you use it inside of Google Analytics, and then how you report with it. So we went through the whole framework with it. We planned, we built, and we launched with ACT. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button that way you can always stay up to date to all things Google Analytics. Google Tag Manager, Looker Studio, Microsoft Clarity, and all things that are happening inside the measurement world. We'd love to have you back. And also leave a comment if this was useful for you. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want to know more about that course as well as the framework, you already heard like where to go to get that. And here is the link. It is measure.tips/Get Academy. And if you have any questions, just let us know. We're always happy to help. So that was measuring your user journey with ACT. We'll see you next time.